everybody. Hi, and welcome to the official
Body Spartan podcast.
Just ruined it. What are you doing?
I was being synchronistic.
That was not synchronistic.
You just were about to say what I was going to say.
That is not
synchronistic. See? Jinx. Do you remember that game you used to play? Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
This is a bad episode of Family Guy is what's happening right now. That's exactly what's happening.
You're eating hair.
You're eating hair. All right, well, welcome to the official Body Spartan podcast. I am Gabe Tuff, the founder of Body Spartan. I'm joined by my lovely, luscious, wonderful, intelligent, heartwarming, master sports nutritionist, co-author of Body Spartan Genesis, G2, and author of the Revolution program. The one, the only. That's your cue.
Oh, you're so sweet. You're buttering me up.
I am.
First Lady of Body Spartan, Priscilla Tuft. Hello.
Whoa. Okay, let's get right down to biz.
We're going to talk about something really, 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 really fun.
But
one of my favorite topics.
But first, we got to fill everybody in on the week.
Okay.
And what the heck has been happening.
Okay.
So here's whose week? Where do we start? I mean,
I did something really bad just now. And usually the last thing on my mind is the first thing that I think about. So I ate the last Snickerdoodle cookie from Nutrition Solution. And
wait, the last one?
I ate it where not even God could see me.
Okay, wait, you ate the last one? They just came, there were 6.
I don't know where they went.
I had 2, Mia had 1, and she can't reach that high in the fridge.
What just happened?
Yeah, so Thursdays are the day. That's today, by the way, guys. Thursdays
D-Day. It's Snickerdoodle Day.
Are the day our Nutrition Solutions meal prep arrives. And it's like this big, huge unboxing in our house where the three of us, me, Priscilla, and our daughter Mia,
it's like
gather
an event,
around.
Family event.
It is. It's a total family event. Like Mia's like, ooh, Nutrition Solutions. Put the box on the counter.
And then she goes diving in for the goods.
Well, we open it up with that big old honking butcher knife thing.
Machete, really.
Yeah, and we got to break open the inner plastic stuff. It's got this cool refrigerant plastic, and on the inside, they
her
pack
favorite
it
thing
with
on earth.
Dry ice. And there's usually a little tiny chunk left over in one of the bags. So we open it up, and we put it in a bowl of water. We make a bunch of cool...
She is insane for it. Dry ice
steam.
is seriously the coolest.
It's pretty cool.
And then when she gets sick of that, she goes for the clean sheets.
That is what she does next. So there's always a clean sheet in the Nutrition Solutions meal prep box. And it's like their little, hey, enjoy. You know, you got all these totally macroed out meals that taste amazing in the box. And then there's this clean sheet.
And it's like always this like incredible family time until she goes running for the clean sheets. And then we start chasing her with the machete and screaming. And I mean, it was fun.
That was, you know.
It was fun.
Yep, that's cool.
Until somebody had to go and steal the clean sheets.
Keeps waking up with nightmares. So for those of you that don't know what a clean sheet is, it's this awesome little snack. It looks like a little tiny donut, but it's basically like a protein donut for lack of a better term.
And cookies. They sent us cookies.
Yeah, we've been getting Snickerdoodle cookies every time as well. Amazing, man. These meals are off the hook. And that's what I have been eating. And here's what I've been doing. So what were we at? We're at 7 days was Wednesday. So we're at day 8 today of intermittent fasting. I decided to try out intermittent fasting. And it's apparently this big craze that's sweeping the nation. I did some research on it. And it seems from the research that I found that it's amazing for your body. So the idea is that I'm going for this experiment because I've never done it before. I'm going from, it's 16 hours not eating and 8 hours of eating. So from 12 to 8, I can eat. 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. I can eat. Then I cut myself off from 8 p.m. until noon the next day. I do not eat. And I do this every single day. Your body responds like, it's like this crazy response. Like your organs regenerate.
And it's not for everybody. If you have struggled with anorexia, bulimia, eating disorder of any kind, maybe this isn't for you. But I know that it's for me. I've been intermittent fasting for 2 years.
Yeah, you've done it for a while.
And then before that, I would do a different form of intermittent fasting where it was 1 day a week. And this was before the research came out. I started doing this when I was 16.
Yeah.
And that's part of like intuitive eating and intuitive training, being able to listen to your body and say, what do I need? What feels right to me? And so there's so many different schools of thoughts when it comes to intermittent fasting. But this is one school of thought that is probably as close to mainstream as you can get.
Yeah, it was on Good Morning America. It was on. I mean, it's been all over.
It was on Bad Morning America.
It was on Bad Morning America. I know Terry Crews, the actor, does intermittent fasting as part of his daily routine, so it's gone up that high. The idea, though, is that it creates rapid body fat loss. And of course, you guys go, oh, no kidding. But you also maintain your muscle mass. It's amazing. And here's what kicked it off. I had been considering doing it. We needed a new web series, and I needed something to work for. Because I always talk about having your why. So I'm in the gym. I'm like, what am I doing, man? I'm not prepping for a competition. I'm not prepping for anything, for video shoots, whatever. I'm in maintenance mode. I need something. And I was on the verge with intermittent fasting. I talked to Sean Lehner, our brand ambassador, back in Indiana. And Sean goes, dude, I have been doing intermittent fasting for 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, he dropped 5% body fat and gained 8 pounds of muscle. In 2 weeks. That's a freaking amazing.
Another huge part of it has to do with insulin levels. Had you read about that?
No,
and
I haven't
growth
done much
hormone
beyond the initial research.
It's so interesting. It's very intricate. And again, it's not for everybody.
No.
But when it's for you, you could live on it.
So here is what we're doing is we are chronicling my journey here. I'm trying to do it for 12 weeks. And the first, Sunday, Sean's actually created a program based around this. And we're going to try to use that as our next program. I'm the guinea pig. He's the guinea pig. He's got a bunch of supplements that unlock your myostatin pathways for this as well. But I'm chronicling it, and we're doing. If you guys ever saw if you happen to see our BTS 84 series, that was 84 days behind the scenes with us at Body Spartan doing the Unleashed program before it was even made. It was me designing it and doing it at the same time, and that was went over like crazy. People loved it, so we're doing another one behind the scenes.
Because you guys are nosy little buggers.
They are.
You just want to know stuff.
Want to know what's going on.
Really. You want to know stuff? Our little kid has a wiggly tooth, and it's about to come out, and it's kind of a big deal.
It's hanging by a thread.
It is hanging by a thread.
Well,
we'll tell you all the stuff. Speaking of supplements, by the way, the myostatin, blah, 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 those came.
What?
I saw them. They arrived in the white package.
Oh, those are some prototype stuff I'm looking at.
Oh, yeah, see? Excited.
Secret.
I looked at it. I tried half of it. That's why I have so much energy, and I feel so ripped right now.
Last time you took a bottle or took some T-Volve, you broke up my counter. I showed a video on it.
And threw the vacuum cleaner down the stairs.
You did throw the vacuum cleaner down the stairs, which is a great time to just drop the T-Volve Testosterone Booster, guys. One of our best sellers of all of our supplements, naturally boosting testosterone with Tribulus terrestris. It works great. I used Tribulus in WWE. I actually popped on a drug test because my test levels were totally within normal range, but they were really high. And they go, look, we know what your test levels are. What do you take? I said, hey, here it is. It's an herb. It's over the counter. It's not a steroid. They're like, okay, you're totally right. It's legal. It's not a steroid. You're not adding testosterone to your body. You're kickstarting your natural testosterone production. But they go, hey, dude, you can't take it because we know what your natural testosterone levels are, and it's not fair. Point being,
no more plants.
Point being, it's totally natural. There's no chemicals. It's an all herbal formula, and the stuff works.
It's not for everybody. Because, like, if you're me, it works for a lot of girls. A lot of females take it. I just happen to throw vacuum cleaners down the stairs when I take it for 3 days. So
get a little snappy.
Not for everybody.
Yeah.
Not for everybody.
It changed the family dynamic.
If it ain't broke,
a little bit.
Don't fix it.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Well, that's
your
it
test
for
booster.
the week. By the way, I'm doing okay with this. The first couple days, I was a little hungry, but I wasn't starving. I thought I would be freaking out, and I really wasn't. It was just a matter of, well, when it got close to the noon hour, so about 10 hours in, I was like, oh, my stomach's growling. About 11 hours, or no, I'm sorry, not 10 hours in. 14 hours in, and then 15, I was like, I'm super duper hungry. And right at the 12 o'clock mark, I'm like, I gotta eat, dude. And I eat like crazy.
Actually, 11:45 on the nose is when Mia and I go and hide behind our asbestos shield, as Gabe goes like what's the little Tasmanian devil thingy?
Tasmanian devil.
Yeah, pretty much like that in the kitchen.
Yep.
And we go hide
I literally eat 2 nutrition solutions meals. So that's like 80 grams of protein.
Well,
100
guarding
grams
it
of
with
carbs.
the machete.
While guarding it with the machete. That being said, let's kind of segue into what this podcast is supposed to be about. And Priscilla actually brought up tonight. We had planned to do a different one, but she said, look, I'd much rather talk about this. And both Priscilla and I are pretty well versed in it. It basically is a theory. It's a theory created by Carl Jung. Or is it Jung? I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's Jung. He was the one who kind of was like the grandfather of the theory. The idea is that, I mean, basically we are the creators of our own reality. And that the things that we believe manifest themselves into very interesting coincidences, or things that we believe we want, that we truly desire.
We're just going to warn you right now. We are totally gonna dork out. So you're welcome.
And here's the cool part. You guys are going to go, dude, you're getting into some esoteric crap right now.
You're welcome.
Some hippie voodoo shit. But there's science to back this up. And I'm talking major scientific organisms. We got studies from Princeton here tonight that actually prove what we're talking about. And the reason we're talking about it, for anybody that's new to the podcast, is because we take our core values of this company and we spread them to you. And one of our core values is living a life to its fullest. And in order for you guys to do that, you have to understand so much more beyond fitness. What we're going to talk about tonight will absolutely apply to fitness. It'll apply to everything you do in the gym. But it will also be able to be translated into your life path. What business you decide to start, if you ever decide to start one. Whether or not you become a mother or a father or get married. This is all going to come into play. And it's going to blow your frickin' mind.
So let's just start with this. Have you ever thought about that girl and she crosses your mind and you just think about her for a minute and then you go to the grocery store and there she is standing next to the eggs.
I was thinking apples or cherries, but you said eggs.
Oh, apples or cherries. See, that's so cute. Next to the watermelons. Wait, those aren't watermelons. Oh, wait.
Sorry.
And have you ever wondered how Granny's doing and she gives you a call?
Or you've been thinking about that song and it just suddenly plays on the radio as soon as you turn the radio on. These are great examples of what's called synchronicity. It's a coincidence that we manifest. And people have been studying this there's some guys have been studying it for like 25 years, basically. There is no official field of study for the term synchronicity, but there's lots and lots and lots of scientific data for studies that happen to fall in that area and actually prove its existence.
I mean, they may call it metaphysics. Some may. But what it is a law that all of us abide by, whether we desire to or not. When you're in the flow, when you're in the state of high vibration, love, just feeling good, happiness, yes, then synchronicities naturally come into your life. And there are things that you can do to experience more of them or have them just in ways that blow your mind so much that you just want to scream. You're like, no way. I mean, I get so excited about it. I really can't stand it.
Well, a lot of it has to do. Well, let's tell this little story.
Oh, which one? We've got so many.
The one about the bank account that got levied.
Actually, can I wind it back? Because I want it to be something that people feel like they can attach to, because that one is so far out. It's such an intense story. But let's just wind it back just a little bit. When Gabe and I started dating, he played on the softball team. And he was so handsome and he could whack that ball with a stick. And I just wanted to go and be his cheerleader. So I went and I got this white t-shirt. Okay, it was my dad's white t-shirt. I was 16 years old. And I grabbed some red felt little fabric from my mom's sewing area. And I cut out the number 17 and I put it on my back and I'm like, I'm in the group, I'm in the team. And I went there and I just wanted him to be like, oh, my girl supports me so much. So I show up and he looks at me and he's like, no way I think, what did I have on the front? It's like, I love you or something like that.
I love
like,
Gabe.
So I love Gabe. Yeah, it's something. And then on the back was number 17. And he looks at me and he's like, no way. How did you know that number 17 is my number? And he turns around, I see 17 on his back and I'm like, this is my number. 17 has always been my number. And he said, 17 has always been my number. And ever since that day, realizing that 17 was the number that we had both shared since we were kids, it has followed us along our lives. We've been together 20 years now, and our daughter was born 11/7/11 at 11:37. Like, it's ones and sevens, and it's this synchronistic type of pattern that's in our lives. And what's crazy about it is that it always lets us know that we're on the right path.
Now, keep the numbers in mind, because we're going to talk about numbers later and how they play in. It's because, like I said, there's going to be some serious science behind this. And speaking of science, let's look at it this way. If you try to think about how this actually happens, if we believe that things that we want and we focus on manifest in coincidences, we have to ask ourselves how that happens. And a little well-known guy, fairly well-known guy, his name was Nikolai Tesla.
Or whatever.
Yeah, basically the guy who was the smartest person to ever roam the planet and was able to pull free energy from the air. By the way, did you guys know that? Nikolai Tesla invented a machine that was capable of pulling energy from the air, an unlimited amount of energy from the air. The ionosphere basically is a magnetic field that runs from the North Pole to the South Pole, and as magnets work, there's a flux, and if you can capture that, it's an unlimited source of energy. He did it. But guess who? J.P. Morgan just happened to have a monopoly on the copper lines that were being used for electricity. So he bought the building. It was his building to begin with. Nikolai Tesla got his permission. They built it on top. It was a cool thing. When he realized what was going on, he shut down the project. He's like, it's done. Because we got copper to freaking mine. And so that's how J.P. Morgan made his fortune, and free energy died. That being said, Nikolai Tesla said it best. The day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in 1 decade than all the previous centuries of its existence. To understand the true nature of the universe, one must think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. We always talk about vibration and how your molecules vibrate at different frequencies. And for those of you that have never heard the science behind it, quantum physicists have discovered that the physical atoms within molecules, we talk about molecules. Molecules are made up of atoms. Atoms are protons and neutrons and electrons.
Did I mention that we are totally going to dork out?
And here we go. You
Just
ready?
saying.
Atoms are made up of vortices of energy that are constantly spinning and vibrating. So basically, matter at its tiniest observable level, it's energy. And human consciousness is connected to it.
And think about what we learned in school. We learned that everything was made of what? What? Matter. However, they didn't tell us about the vibration, about the movement within the matter. And when you think of everything as in motion, your whole reality changes.
And here's what we're going to prove to you tonight, is that human consciousness can influence the behavior of energy within atoms through experiments, through scientific experiments. We're going to show you and illustrate that this can actually be done, that the way we think will influence the outcome of an experiment in a very controlled study, in multiple controlled studies. And then you're going to take that and you have to apply that. And we're going to show you how you can use it to change your own matter.
And just so we're playing the did you know game, Gabriel was actually an engineer before he was a meathead. And before he used to get his head smashed in his underwear on national television for a living.
And most people, when you say engineer, they think of like the the train conductor for some reason.
Dork.
They think of a train conductor. That's what they think of it. It's
sits
not.
at a computer.
They always
like,
heard the train engineer. An engineer is somebody that designs
how we should design this
bridges,
building and do this bridge and like let's make dorky stuff all day on the
flow
computer.
of water through pipes.
So the guy is brilliant.
I can
The only
design
thing
a
he's
bridge.
missing is his pocket protector. So he's got some hidden genius, and if he talks over your head, I am so sorry, he talks over my head all the time. We'll try to keep it fun for you while giving you the information that those of you that are scientists absolutely need, because he's a scientist.
And trust me, you don't want to bail. If you're this far along in the podcast and you've listened to all the previous episodes, you know we've covered so much fitness stuff, it's ridiculous, and that we are segueing slowly into how to apply yourself, how to take all the mysteries of the universe that we're trying to unlock and all of our secrets to success that got us where we are today. And we're giving them to you. And
just disclaimer right here, you guys, this is going to blow your mind.
Okay.
Listen on.
Let's jump into the have an open mind here, guys. This is a study that basically proves the observer creates the reality. So there was a study done in 2012. And actually, this is from an essay that was published in 2012. I'm sorry. And they were from, there were four or five different scientists. One of them was from the Institute of Noetic Sciences. And
which is actually super close to us. And that is on my agenda.
20 minutes away.
Yes, that is on my agenda for this year. I want to get out there.
Another guy was from the Center for Computational Neuroscience, Institute of Neurocomputation. So there's a lot of, smart people in this essay. But it basically compiled 6 different experiments. And these were pretty much the same exact experiment, and they replicated them under different conditions to ensure that the statistical probability was correct and that these things actually worked. What they did is this thing called the double slit experiment. And so you take a beam of light and you aim it at, for lack of a better term, a board. And the board has 2 little slits cut into it. So what's going to happen is the light is either going to pass through one of the slits, or it's going to bounce around and create this interference. And it's going to basically scatter the light. And a percentage of it should basically do a little bit of both, is what the idea is if you just let it happen on its own. It should have a pretty good right in the middle average. What they did is they took 137 people and they asked them to focus using ultrasensory perception, basically using your mind, focus on the light going through this single slit and not causing interference. In all but one experiment, they proved beyond a statistical probability that the observers skewed the results to their favor. So more light, when people focused on the light going through the hole instead of creating interference, the instruments they were using to measure the interference showed that there was far less, meaning the light went through the single slit, just like the people that were thinking about it were hoping it would do. It was far less than if nobody was thinking about it at all. This is a major breakthrough.
And this goes through this. Ancient studies revealed this far, far, far before any of these people were even in diapers. I think of even biblical accounts. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen. They have been talking about this in every religion all around the world for decades upon decades upon decades. This is ancient stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm talking everything from Christianity to, Buddhism to Mormonism. Is like, if you believe something's going to happen, it happens. And, I'm not discounting the fact that there may be a God and a higher power, but the point is when your energy is focused there, but when your consciousness is focused on the outcome, the observer has the ability to skew that outcome. And the reason that the double slit experiment is so profound is that we are taking the building blocks of the universe, light, photons, energy packets, and we're moving them. We have the ability to move energy.
And there were
vibrational level.
This test was done close to 200 times. You said 140 times?
No, so there were 6 different experiments, and each one, I don't know if each one had it, but specifically one had 137 people in it.
Okay.
Now,
Well, this test has been redone over and over and over again
6 times.
by the Institute of Noetic Science, where they had meditation studies where they'd have people all around the world looking at computer screens.
Now, yes. And the thing about the meditation is even more interesting. It showed that in one of the groups where the studies for the double slit experiment was done, the group that had 9 accomplished meditators, so basically people that consistently meditate in their daily routine, they were able to skew the results even further than people that did not meditate.
And it does really, really impact your ability to manifest things in your life, for lack of a better word.
You're referring to meditation?
I've been meditating for how many years? 2 or 3 years?
Something like that.
And it started very slowly and gradually, and I've built up more and more and more time. And your ability to think about nothing just grows and grows. Whereas in the beginning, you can't even focus for 3 minutes on a leaf because your brain is so busy thinking about all the garbage. And now I can get into an alpha brainwave state in about 45 seconds.
And think about that. If you have the ability to do that, and you take that and you apply it to anything else, whether it's your life, whether it's a gym or whatnot, you can focus your energy so intently on one thing that you can change the outcome. Now, we talked about numbers earlier, and I told you guys it's going to be a very scientific podcast. So we talked about numbers earlier, and I want you to really hone in on this because this is a global study.
Do you have a specific number that keeps on coming up in your life? Think about this in a personal application kind of way.
Princeton University started this study in conjunction with the Institute of Noetic Sciences. What they did is they basically created a random number generator. And to describe that to you, think of it as a computerized coin toss, where the computer literally flips a coin and it either lands on heads or tails. We give it a numeric value, either a 0 or a 1 is usually what they are, because we do these things in binary. 50% of the time, the mean average was a 1. 50% of the time, the mean average was a 0. If left alone for infinity, it'll come out with a mean average of 50, because that's your probability. You got 2 sides of the coin. So they put up this random number generator and they let it run consistently. It does 200 coin flips a second, and that's how it generates the data. And what they started doing were paying attention to events that were happening worldwide. And they set up these random number generators all over the world. And they've been collecting data for 15 years on this. So this isn't something they just did for a day or two. They've been collecting this data for 15 years. One of the longest running scientific studies that I personally know of. And here's what they found. Major events, global events, the random number generators formed order and patterns that were very distinguishable. So no longer it was a random 50-50. It was a series of ones and zeros that became patternized, no longer random. The most notable was the 9/11 incident, where the entire world was watching the States and the entire world was wondering what was going on. That was the most noticeable skew from randomization to order. Others have been like presidential inaugurations, major events that are happening in the world. The data is there, guys. If you want to look it up, it's called the Global Consciousness Study. I challenge you to look that up. And what does that say, though? So it's interesting that it does that, but our thoughts, whatever we're focusing on, is influencing the results of a computer random number generator.
Like, that crap that you worry about and how it just seems to happen in your life. And you're just so terrified that the teacher's got to hate your paper and mark it up with red all over the place and send it back, give you an F. You're so worried. And look what you get. Or you're so focused on having a very specific person come into your life to share a relationship with. And lo and behold, they're everything that you wanted. And they show up at the right time in the right place in the most synchronistic way. What you think about expands. It grows.
Well, and you guys did your synchronicity walk in San Clemente.
That was mind-blowing.
So a synchronicity walk, we watched it was basically, I don't remember the guy's name.
It was a documentary, and we cannot remember his name.
He was given a seminar. It was like a symposium.
You thought he was boring. I thought he was thrilling.
Well, he was very monotone in the beginning, so it was kind of putting me to sleep. But once he got started discussing what was going on, I got instantly sucked in. The idea of what he did was he would basically put up flyers to get people to come to his little events, and he would say, we're going to do a synchronicity walk. And so they would just start he basically have a set of dice, and he would roll the dice and they get a number just to kind of help this thing along. So whatever the number would be, they would go for a walk and they would just look for synchronicity. And so in one example, he took a group out, started walking down the street. They came to the bus station, and he saw that the number, whatever it was, 2 bus was just about to leave. And he looks at everybody, he's like, okay, jump on the number 2 bus. Here we go. And you could see instantly people were just kind of looking around like, oh, do I have my card to get on the bus? Do I have enough? And what happened is that people just began giving each other what they needed. Oh, here, use my card, or here's the extra change you need. And you could instantly see that people were worried about where they were going and how they were going to get back. But they got on the bus. They go to wherever they're going. They get off. And he sees these 2 ladies on a bench in a park across the way. And he goes, well, let's just go talk to them. So he takes the group over to these people. And the group is anywhere, I think he said there was like 15 to 25 people usually in his group. He explains what they're doing. And he says, look, without thinking about it, I want your first urge and instinct. Just point me in the right direction. Point me where you think we should go. And so one of the ladies points, this way. And I'm pointing, I don't know, to the right, whatever. And they look around and there's this kind of side street. And they go, okay, let's take a walk down a side street. So they start walking down the side street, and out comes this guy just running at full speed out of one of the doors back there. It was like the back of a business. And they're like, okay, whatever. And then right after that came a cop right after him. And they looked at the door, and the door was, if I remember correctly, it was like the address was 222 on the door. And he goes, well, that's pretty freaking coincidental. He goes, we should probably follow these guys. And the idea is that he just lets the universe decide for him what's happening without any type of fight, without any struggle, without any resistance. Just going, what happens if we just let the universe completely direct us? And so they get to wherever the cop was going, and they lose him, and they end up walking down a street, and they hear music coming from a flat up above. And they go, let's go crash this party. So they go up there, they knock on the door, they explain what they're doing. The guy welcomes them in. And they have a great time. And so this is basically what I don't remember the end gist of it, but where did they end up? That was just so
they just
profound?
Ended up crashing the party, and they're like, come on in, and they just had an awesome time.
I don't remember what it was, but yours was amazing too. And there's got to be like a short version of it.
I'm trying to think. See, that's the difficult thing about synchronicity is when you try to explain it to somebody else, they're not in it with you because it is synchronistic to them in their experience. And so when you tell an outsider, they might say, oh, so what that your numbers were 17. But we had that personal experience. We knew how deeply it impacted our life up until that moment, and that our child was even born on 1s and 7s days.
Well, your synchronicity walk was just so mind-blowing to me.
It was mind-blowing. And all synchronicity is mind-blowing.
Can I tell it in the condensed version? You fill in the blanks if I miss something. I think this will be the quick way to explain how significant it is. Because, again, guys, the idea of the synchronicity walk is to have no resistance and just go, okay, let's do this and see where it takes us. And let's look for signs from the universe, basically.
And you guys, that is the big thing. So I went down to SoCal, I was visiting family. What time were we at?
I'm not looking, 34 minutes.
Okay. So everyone's like, what do you want to do? We've got a few days together. What do you want to do? I said, I want to take a synchronicity walk. And they're like, what's a synchronicity walk? I kind of broke it down for them.
And everybody it was you, Mia, your mom,
my sister,
your sister, her kid, Vincent,
my nephew, our nephew.
5 of you, basically. 6.
Yeah,
you, so.
yeah. And so there was this penny that was floating around, and I picked it up,
This is back at the house when you started the walk, right?
No, we were just talking about doing the walk, and then we kind of just let it go. And Mia picked up the penny, and she said, "Oh, this is awesome. I really want to have this." And I said, "Oh, that's so weird. I had picked it up earlier, and I put it on the table." And Vincent said, "Oh, I had picked it up earlier and moved it around to the living room." My sister said, "Oh, I left it in the living room because I found it in the kitchen." And my mom said, "Oh, that's so funny. I found it on the floor and put it on the counter."
So everyone has touched this
Every
penny.
single person had touched this penny. And the number on the penny was 2007. And as soon as we saw the 2007, my sister and I both said, that's the time the walk's supposed to start. And we were kind of like, okay, this is really nuts. This is crazy. What else are we supposed to know? And my nephew said, well, what does it say on it? And somebody said, what is
Lincoln. Who's the president? It's Lincoln that's on that.
But even before Lincoln, it was Octus. I can't think of the phrase.
E pluribus unum?
Right. So all as one, right? We looked it up. It was something like that.
Yes.
All for one, or all as one. And we realized that being in a synchronicity walk and in a synchronicity group, we are all, in my opinion, in my deep belief and experience, we are all the fingerprint of a divine creator. And if we are all the fingerprint of a divine creator, then we are all connected by our DNA, by the stuff that we're made out of. And I believe that the spirit is in me. I feel the spirit within me. They feel the spirit within them. And we were connected through that as one. And we had to become as one mind. And then it also said, in God we trust. And we're like, all right, cool. Let's start at the church. We'll start our synchronicity walk at the church up the street. All right. So off we go. And when we get there, there weren't any signs, but the name of the church was called Cornerstone. And so we looked up what is Cornerstone, and it was the firm foundation on which the structure was built. So we're like, hey, this is a good place to start, I guess. So let's go to Lincoln Street. My sister's like, well, everything's named after something.
Now, why did you go to Lincoln Street?
Well, because of the coin.
So they looked at the coin. Vincent, her nephew, goes, well, what's on the coin? It was Abraham Lincoln and the Lincoln Memorial.
But
Priscilla
there's no
goes,
Lincoln Street because everything's named. It's like Pico and Avenida blah blah or whatever.
But there wasn't there?
There was no Lincoln. No, not in San Clemente. Because everything's named after
I forgot. So tell me how this goes. I'm super interested.
So I said, what's the closest to Lincoln that we could possibly think of? And I said, oh my gosh, because we lived there 7 years. I'm like, Presidente.
Ah, that's what it was.
I said,
Avenida del
put
Presidente.
in the GPS. That's funny.
Google Maps.
Not
Apple Maps.
Hello, what year is this again?
Google Maps.
So Google, not Apple. Google.
Yep.
Not Apple.
Google.
Anyways, we are not paid advertisement for them, but just saying,
all you Bing
don't go
users,
there. Do not. We will Bing
turn
you.
Off the podcast now.
Yeah,
I can't talk to you.
We can't even. So I said, put in 2007 Presidente, and it existed.
So there was a residence on Presidente.
But we were in the zone. We're in the synchronistic mode. So anything that didn't feel synchronistic, we would ignore. And if something did feel synchronistic, we would go that direction. So as we're driving down the street, we see this, I don't know. I guess we're headed down the street going towards that. And I said, oh, thank God that my brother-in-law's not with us. My sister's husband, because he would have us going to Presidente in Mexico. And we laughed, haha, Tony. And right as we said his name, we looked up and it was Tony's. And I'm like, pull over.
So her sister's husband's name is Tony. They said, Tony would have us going to Mexico. They look up, there's Tony's restaurant literally right in front of their eyes.
Well, it wasn't a restaurant, but it was Tony's. So we pull over, and here's this like beat up chair on wheels. It just like put over by the dump, and we're going to go into Tony's. And I said, oh my gosh, Vincent, my nephew, put me in this thing and give me a ride. So there's this huge slope on, what is that street?
It's the main street downtown is what you're thinking of?
I don't know. It's some street.
Del Mar.
It's close to Del Mar.
Yeah.
So he puts me in the chair and sends me flying down this hill. And we're screaming and laughing because you kind of just got to get in the flow and do what feels right. And he's spinning me around. Those things are so much fun. Seriously, you guys, it's an issue.
An old broken down office chair.
We had a blast.
Happens to randomly be sitting outside on the street.
Of course. Of course. And we pull up to the door in this, this fine little chair we had going on. And I walk in, there's like this 80-year-old man looking at me. He had seen the whole thing and I was like, uh-oh. He owns the place. I'm like, oh, hello. And he said, I see you have arrived in my chariot. I said, oh yeah, you want to ride? And he's like, I've been there before. Wound up in the hospital for 3 months. It was crazy. Anyways, I said, we're on the synchronicity walk. Is there something here that we're supposed to know? Oh my gosh, this is a key shop. There's a key here for us. And he says, as a matter of fact, there is. He turns around. Oh, and I said, what's your name? He said, Evil Knievel.
Oh, yeah, he didn't give me the name. He just said Evil Knievel.
Evil Knievel. So he goes and he gets this key and he busts it out and it's got palm trees on it and it says SC for San Clemente. Man, it's so intricate that I'm just going to have to cut down this story. It's
let me do a little cutting down for you.
All right,
and
go
so
for
basically they take this key and on the key is SC for San Clemente and there's 2 cross palm trees on it. So now what? So
we grab that sucker. We start driving down the street towards the same place we were going on Presidente. And we show up at 170. And Mia's like, pull over the car. It's our number. And we're like, oh, Mia, we don't even know where that goes. And she's like, right there. It's an open door. And so awkwardly, we went over. Long story short, I happen to have the exact amount of money that I needed to do something that was in there. And then we go, and it was just crazy. Everywhere we go.
The short version of it, you bounce back and forth, and it gets you down to where?
Well, we were led by old broken down chairs the entire way to the beach at a very specific time.
And so the beach that you decided to go to,
far away from where we lived,
just happened to be at the end of a road.
We never go to this beach ever.
And Mia goes, I want to go to the beach, Mom. Can we just please go? It's been such a long time. And you guys look over, and what do you see? You see
and my sister says, Oh, the book?
The broken down chair.
The broken down chair. You're pointing something. I'm like, what?
I was like, remember the chair?
The black, what? So my sister, as we're walking down the stairs.
And this is a different broken down chair, by the way. It's not the same one.
No, there's a different broken down chair.
There's a random broken down chair
place
by the steps to this beach that they never go to.
And I see this book that's baby wise. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. Somebody just abandoned this book. And my sister says, oh, look at those 2 cute little beach mommies with their cute little beach babies. And I looked down, I was like, oh, that's so cute. They were coming up the stairs. We were going down the stairs. I'm like, oh my gosh. They were friends of ours that we had in Florida.
Well, it was Chi-Chi and Kofi.
Chi-Chi and Kofi.
And for those of you that are familiar with the wrestling world, it's Kofi Kingston, who is just an amazing wrestler. He's phenomenal, super nice guy. His wife Chi-Chi is amazing. They have 2 children, and they're just could be the coolest people we've ever met. We're good friends with them. They moved to San Clemente.
And Chi-Chi and I pretty much talk, I'd say like every 2 or 3 days. And I knew that she was moving from San Clemente, but I guess their trip got postponed, or I don't know exactly what happened, but they were leaving. This was their last outing as a family before they left for Austin, Texas. They were leaving, they were moving, and they were literally walking away from the beach and leaving. And this was the only opportunity to see them. And it was our opportunity to tell them, we were led to you. Everything is happening for a reason. And we pulled out that key, and there's so many pieces that are missing, you guys. Like things that lead to Kingston, things that lead to the babies, things that lead to different names of people that were, it was so crazy. It was so, crazy. And the nuttiest part, am I not close enough to the mic?
You have to pull the mic
that really
up
bugs you, doesn't
Just
it?
pull it up higher. I shouldn't be able to see your lips.
It droops. I've got a
then
droopy mic.
Down.
I've got a droopy mic. This is what happens.
So you pull out the key.
So I pull out the key, and of course, if you know who Kofi Kingston is, that's all over his gear. Are you all right over there?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine. I'm just looking for something. That's important. So it's all over his gear. Well, what's all over his gear?
The palm trees.
There you go. So there are
anyways, there's a whole bunch of the story that we missed out, that we missed out on telling. But the biggest thing is, you were looking for that.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is that life is synchronicity when you are looking for it. And when you start looking for it, more of it shows up. And it shows you if you're on the right path. I believe that I am divinely led. And the more that I plug into the source of all of it, like that divine creator, the energy, the force that you feel pumping through your veins every single day, the more I plug into that, the more I see synchronicity at alive in my life.
If you think about all the random things that happened on that synchronicity walk, and none of it was planned. They just went with whatever the universe was putting out in front of them to get that specific key towards the beginning and to end up, and I don't know if we said this, but you gave the key to Kofi as a token to remember San Clemente by. They were leaving.
Well, it was more than that. It's like where you're going is exactly where you should be going. And the chairs were a sign that this is going to be your place of rest. This is exactly where you're supposed to be going.
It's just such like, it can't be coincidence that you meet our friends. And I haven't seen Kofi in, 5 years. Like,
we hadn't
text,
seen them,
but I haven't seen Chi-Chi in about as long too.
We talk to them all the time, but we've never met each other's children. All of us and our children
since
were.
I retired from WWE, I haven't seen Kofi in person. Like, it's been that long.
It was crazy. We even found this old the chocolate candy that comes in the little wrapper and it kind of looks like a coin. It had a lion with dreadlocks on it with a king crown on it. And it was just so interesting, just so many little things, and it all made sense. We were confused about all the little pieces to the puzzle until we got to the end of the story. But what's so interesting about synchronicity is it's available for everybody.
And imagine if you went through life without resistance, and you went through life believing that you were going to be where you're supposed to be, and that the universe has a good outcome for you, that everything will be okay, and that we didn't fight our natural instincts of consciousness, and we let our realities be created by what we believe in.
I do want to touch on one more thing before we go too far away, because in the beginning we started overthinking what we were doing. 7 a.m. is too early. 7 p.m. is too late. And, this just isn't going to work. And this, and my nephew, my little kid nephew, he's 15 years old. He's like, not a little kid, he's a man. But he's like, stop overthinking it. You're ruining it by overthinking it. And that is life, you guys. That is the biggest lesson that I got from all of it. If we just allow ourselves to be led, divinely led, and we release ourselves from what we think might be inconvenient, we just go with it. That is where synchronicity and the flow and the magic, for lack of a better word, that's where it all happens. That's where it's born.
I feel like a lot of the resistance that we encounter is resistance from other people, and not necessarily people saying, hey, don't do this, but more or less what we think that those people will think.
Oh, that's so interesting, because I was thinking that the resistance is self-doubt or self-limiting beliefs, but you're right.
That too. I totally buy into that. My point here is that when I started releasing what other people thought about me and the decisions I was going to make in my life, I started flourishing. We started flourishing. Mm-hmm. This is how Body Spartan was born. I basically said, I don't care what this person, that person, or that person says about good decisions. I'm going to try this because this is where my heart is, and I believe this is the right way to go. And I'm going to try it. And things kept happening to help the business. And every decision I would make, something good would come of it. And I just make these gut decisions, and I would not listen to what other people said. Or I stopped caring about what I thought they might think. And that was truly freeing, because it allowed me to hone my energy and consciousness in on the goal, and allow me to focus on what I wanted. And what I wanted was for Body Spartan to grow, and for our message to get out there, and to change at least one life every single day through what we do. And we're doing way more than that now. Thousands of lives. 60,000 people have bought our programs, which is huge. And we're changing lives every single day.
And that's not to say that doors are never going to have to be broken down. Sometimes there is some sort of element of work involved. But I noticed that when we were in the flow, we just walk, and the light guides us, and the door opens, and we walk through and the light guides us and another door opens. And when we're sitting there banging on a door and it doesn't open, that's a sign to turn around and take another direction. And that's synchronicity. That's the flow.
Now, regarding consciousness, synchronicity and consciousness go hand in hand. And we're talking about how we have the ability to shape our reality, proven by science. I want to bring up a study that's very Matrix-esque, so to speak.
I love it. It all is, isn't it?
It's very Matrix-esque.
We cannot speak.
I am having the worst time. I've got cotton mouth. Here's what happens on this intermittent fasting. When I go into the fast portion of it, I start salivating like crazy, and I just need to guzzle water.
It's your parasympathetic nerve reaction.
I have all the spit in my mouth.
Or I'm sorry, it's your sympathetic nerve reaction.
Spittoon over here, you know? Cue sound effect. So
the rest of the podcast is going to be in sign language, so...
Yeah. This is cool. This study is so cool. So back in 2004, the Air Force declassified a research paper, and it was titled Teleportation Physics Study, and it was authored by a guy named Eric Davis, who was a PhD. And it was showing that psychokinesis and other parapsychological phenomenon had been subject to rigorous research and documentation by several researchers and institutions. So they're studying psychokinesis, the ability to move objects with your mind to affect matter, physical matter.
And we don't know anything about that.
And this is the United States Air Force that declassified this. It was classified documentation, which usually means they provided the funding for study of it. It was a government-funded study. Well, one specific example was one from this guy who was a professional aerospace engineer. His name was Jack Houck. I hope I'm saying that right, Houck. And he was with Army Colonel J.B. Alexander. They held a great deal of PK sessions, as they're called,
kinesis.
Thank you, psychokinesis. I'm like paratrooper. I don't know. We're in the Army now, Air Force. Sorry, I don't know. Sorry, I see PK. I see PK, and I think pastor's kid.
I know, that's what I think. I'm like,
pastor. Why did I write PK?
Am I in trouble?
Like,
wait, what?
Psychokinesis is what PK stands for. In my notes here.
On most days.
So they held these psychokinesis sessions, and attendees were taught the psychokinesis induction process and how to initiate their own psychokinesis events. So these are people they just pulled into the study, and they taught them how to do this. They weren't born with the gift. They're not the one like Neo was in the Matrix. But these individuals were able to completely bend or contort their metal specimens with no physical force being applied whatsoever. And their metal specimens, guess what? Mostly forks and spoons. They're literally bending spoons with their mind. If that doesn't demonstrate the power of your mind and your ability to shape energy, redirect energy, change the vibration of the most subatomic particles in the universe to do your bidding. If you don't believe that you can carve a path for yourself that isn't the one you have now, I don't know what else would convince you. Because that is pretty damn convincing. And this isn't some conspiracy theory shit. This is stuff you guys can all look up and make conclusions on your own. That's why I'm actually listing the studies. I'm giving you the authors, all the scientists involved, so you can see this is real shit going on right now.
I think the kicker for me in all of this, just because I've always believed it was real, but I haven't spoken of it. I haven't put too much into it because I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy. This can't possibly be real. The kicker for me was understanding the vibrational aspects of matter and realizing that matter is not just matter and that everything is in a vibration.
Well, matter is energy.
And,
at its most
and even the air
level
between us, energy.
Yes.
Just like when you blow on my hair and it goes, whoosh, you didn't touch it to make it happen.
No.
It doesn't always have to make sense. Like the wind, you don't see it, but you feel it. There's
That's a good
so
point.
much more going on
Well,
than
okay.
meets the eye.
And with so much more going on, I want to talk about one other thing that is just, and there's no scientific data to back that. Well, actually, there is a little bit of scientific data. I take that back. There is a lot that is forming this new theory, and it's called panpsychism. And it's basically the theory that the entire universe is conscious. The entire universe. I'm talking about from the smallest bug to a human being to literal stars. Scientists are toying with the theory that consciousness goes so much farther than just a human being. And the thought is that the stars in space actually control their pattern of where they're going with deliberate intention. And one of the reasons that they believe that is because certain stars can be seen putting off what looks like a jet behind them that is in the exact direction of their propulsion, changing course with deliberate intent. And when you start thinking about that, we start going, okay, we are small in this giant universe, yet our thoughts control such massive outcomes. What outcome do you want? What do you want in your life? Because if you don't know what you want, how are you going to get there? If you stop for a second and you think about everything we've talked about tonight, and you think about the ability to manifest coincidences based on what it is that you want and think about and believe is going to happen, could you manifest? Could you focus on meeting that one person that is going to be key to your organization, or meeting one person that's going to catapult you to the next level, whether it's a mentor or somebody that you network with that connects you to the right person who can give you the funding that you need to kickstart your business, or whatever it may be. If you focus on that, can you make the connection that, yes, I am in control, and all you have to do is know what it is you want and focus on it and believe that it is going to come to be.
This was a huge part of what released me from the depression I was plagued with for years and years and years. I thought that everything was predetermined. I thought that I was a victim of circumstance. I thought that I just had these hormones, that I just had these genes, that I just had this issue. And when I realized that I was in control and that I could make choices, and that my thoughts and my prayers and my fears, all of them mattered and were shaping my reality. Suddenly, I didn't really have much to be depressed about anymore because I was in control and I was creating one thought at a time.
One of the 6 human needs, according to Tony Robbins, and for those of you that don't know who Tony Robbins is, go look him up. One of the most affluent people in the world, coaches literally the most affluent people in the world in business, and is a very intelligent human being. Changed more lives than I can even begin to imagine. One of his 6 human needs is significance. And being in control gives you significance to a lot of people. It leads to significance because you can control who sees you. You can control what it is that you put out there. You can control the message that you're spreading. You can control the outcome of your future. And if you want to become significant, you want to change a life, you want to be an icon,
And this is a double-edged sword.
you can do that.
Because if you believe that you're not worthy, and if you believe that your voice isn't one that's worth listening to, if you believe that you could never, then that will be a reality. But you begin to shift things when you say, I can, I am, I will, I write down this number, it's done. It's happening. I choose to live in faith and love and not fear. That is when it comes into fruition.
Let's leave you with this tonight, guys. Global consciousness study, double slit experiment, declassified Air Force documents. All these things put in front of you, along with some of the greatest minds in the world like Nikola Tesla, all pointing to synchronicity, consciousness, controlling the outcome that you want. I want you to leave here tonight when you're done with this podcast, and I want you to focus on the outcome. Write down what it is you want. It could be a goal now. It could be a goal for a year. It could be, I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to gain 15 pounds of muscle. I want to have $10 million in my bank account. I want the new house. I want my marriage to be better, and give it something definitive, a measurable goal.
I want to have more hugs.
Hugs. Everybody wants more hugs. Whatever the goal is, I want you to write it down, and it can be different from anything else. So for all you guys that have been listening, all you guys in my Spartan Army that are in the group that have listened to the Spartan Army calls, which, side note, by the way, we do monthly video calls where you guys, or members of our Spartan Army, have an opportunity to jump on a video call with us, up to 500 people at a time. And we will download for an hour fitness information, just awesome fitness information for them. And basically it's us just downloading amazing amounts of knowledge, and kind of having discussions like we have tonight, but allowing the Spartan Army guys and girls to ask questions. We bring them up on the video monitor and they can talk to us directly so everybody can see them talking to us. It's awesome.
It's very intimate. It's different. It's not like anything else that we do.
No,
it's a very special time.
And honest to God, I don't remember where I was going with bringing up the Spartan Army. I got totally sidetracked. I had a really cool point that I wanted to make.
You said everybody in the Spartan Army. You were going to say something about the boys in the Genesis group.
What did I say before that? Because I just totally maybe it's just intermittent fasting. I brain fart a lot.
Why do you keep blaming intermittent fasting? I live on intermittent fasting.
I know, but you've been doing it for 2 years, and I've been doing it for 8 days. And for the remaining, whatever 365 times 39 is, if somebody can please do the math on that and post that in the comments, that's how many days I have not been intermittent fasting. My body is used to incinerating 6 to 8 meals a day spread out at exactly 2.5 hours apart. So,
might we add, it's not for everyone.
But the Spartan Army sure as hell is, because we allow this call, and this call is freaking amazing. We talk about stuff like this all the time. But also in the Spartan Army, guys, you get a weekly workout. And these are all videos, too. You get a weekly workout, brand new body part every week. Cooking show, so we give you recipes for bulking and shredding. You also get motivation. That's only in the Spartan Army. You get a fitness tip, and then you get access to that call, and it is amazing. And we always have a 30-day trial running because I want you guys to see the value in it. And the people that are in it say, this is the best thing that I have ever done. The 30-day trial is at bodyspartan.com/Spartan Army. bodyspartan.com/Spartan Army. What I was getting at is that Spartan Army guys, people that have purchased programs, we have this private Facebook group. So if you purchase one of our programs or you're in the Spartan Army, you guys will know that I talk about this stuff all the time. I talk about goal setting. We've talked about goal setting. Oh, I know what I was getting at. In the call, we talked about goal setting not too long ago. In the programs, I always have a goal setting unit because it's that important to know the outcome that you want. And so for those of you guys that have set goals physically and that are doing that right now, what I want you to do is do something different. Pick a different goal. So guys that are trying to lose weight and they know their goal weight, or they're trying to gain muscle, they know their goal weight, they know their goal physique. Let's pick a totally different goal. Something for your life. Something that's going to help you progress in life. Write it down. Put it on your fridge. Put it on your iPhone lock screen.
How about your emotional state? How about today I choose joy? Today I choose to impact other humans in a positive way.
Well, that's the how. Well, not necessarily.
To me, that is my what. My vision board last year was all sorts of crazy people just smiling. not crazy people, important people to me that were just smiling. And I realized that my vibration is creating my life. Happiness is absolutely a goal. You choose joy first, and the money likes that, so the money comes. You choose joy first, and the six-pack likes that. Suddenly you just want to work out because you feel good. Suddenly your relationship is going awesome because you're choosing not to be a, you know.
Yeah. And on that note, let's go bend some spoons.
For more free information on fitness, nutrition, and bodybuilding, visit us at www.bodyspartan.com.
Indestructible, undeniable. I'm a man with a plan, understand.